That's why you got niggas like Yayo talking about, yeah, Jay don't take care of me. I don't need Jay to go on tour.
You look like you need to be taken care of. You broke. Tell your man 50 send you an ounce or something. I got a G for every bump in your face.
Because your man 50 said you're taking too long to respond to Jim Jones.
You look like you need help. Tell your man 50 send you an ounce or something, yo.
You do need
You
that
might
help.
need
That's
2
why-
ounces.
First of all, I want to shout out Jomo for the promo. I want to shout out Memphis Bleak and Nori, because Nori is pushing Memphis Bleak. And yo, look, 3, 4 in the morning, Nori's texting me, yo, keep the peace. Because niggas know she could get ugly, but I just be chilling. I don't want to catch a tag stone case or nothing like that. But what I'm saying to you is like, when people seeing you level up, they got evil eyes. That's why I pray every night to God. So as for Jimmy talking to me, I look at that as crazy, because you saying you better than Nas. I don't know who's smoking coke or sniffing coke here, me or you. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the analytics, when people when they talked about me, the numbers went up. You trying to push a podcast. So I understand. I am the algorithm. So what you gotta do, you gotta blow a shot at me. When you do the most numbers, they gonna talk about you.
I'm saying because it's talking mad shit though.
Alright, don't have that shit up.
Like you ain't even like that.
I'm not gonna drink on. I'm not valid for that. $25,000 bottle.
Wait.
I'm not valid for that.
Nah, get that nigga the other one.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, yo, what's good?
Melee gang is coming.
What's good, yeah, yo? Oh, man, what's up, bro?
Man.
Wait on him.
50, what's good, man?
Everything, man.
Everything, that's right.
Everything began when Jim Jones, who often maintains composure throughout heated confrontations, abruptly lost his patience during a podcast recording. His expression hardened. The vibe in the room abruptly altered as his voice became harsh. Memphis Blake, who is renowned for maintaining a laid-back demeanor during interviews, was surprised by the sudden change in tone. Respect, music, and their respective cultures were to be the topics of discussion. However, it became considerably more severe in a matter of minutes. Everyone in the room froze when Jim spoke, and viewers afterwards felt the same impact via the television. This was not an unexpected occasion. Quiet tension, insults, side remarks, and comparisons have been building for years. Jim lost it when Tony Yao's name came up. He didn't only respond, he let go of feelings that had been pent up inside of him for years. Every phrase had a layer of pride and frustration, as though he was at last expressing all he had been suppressing. However, the rage wasn't limited to a single instance. There was a lengthy backstory that included competition, allegiance, and long-standing problems that never completely went away. The background leading up to this point must be considered in order to comprehend Jim's reaction. Tension had been building long before the podcast went viral. Tony Yao wasn't bored and making sporadic remarks. He had a severe problem with Jay-Z. He eventually stated in many interviews that Jay attempted to prevent 50 Cent from playing at the Super Bowl halftime show. Yayo preserved that tale. Even while some people dismissed it, those who were aware of the behind-the-scenes politics saw how serious it was. Memphis Blake, who didn't make a big deal out of it, stood on the opposite side of that history. From the Rockefeller days onwards, he had been faithful to Jay-Z from the start, always being respectful and cautious in the background. Thus, Yayo's statement that Blake never shone wasn't only directed at Blake. It was a critique of the system he was a member of, the allegiance he upheld, and the years he remained in his position without complaining. Then there was the larger conflict that was always present, Dipset versus G-Unit. Their rivalry dates back many years. There was more to 50 Cent's spat with Jim Jones and Cameron than simply celebrity drama. It was linked to egos, neighborhoods, and the streets. Yao was skilled at hitting the correct places. Furthermore, it wasn't simply trash talk when he made the same remarks again in public. It was feeding the old flames. However, when Yayo brought up a person that many assumed he would never discuss, everything changed. Bundles are stacked. At that point, the atmosphere escalated from mere tension to genuine emotion. The moment Stack's name was said, the mood instantly changed. Yayo said that when Stack most needed help, Jim Jones abandoned him. That charge struck hard. Stack Bundles was more than simply another performer on Jim's list, as anybody familiar with his past understood. He was like family, They had recorded together, gone on tours together, and developed trust from practical encounters. It wasn't a casual remark to imply that Jim had let him down. It was a blatant assault on their relationship. Stack Bundles possessed exceptional skill. People thought he would be a significant figure in New York music because of his ideas, confidence, and sense of style. He was frequently predicted to become a worldwide celebrity who could headline events, walk the catwalk, and inspire the next generation of artists. But before he could leave the surroundings of his upbringing, tragedy struck, and life on the streets became dangerous. The internet stopped when Yayo said Jim didn't act quickly enough to defend Stack. Artists, fans, and industry insiders paused to consider what had been stated. Then conversations broke out everywhere. For years, some people had been whispering about this, but when it was spoken in public, everything changed. Jim could no longer ignore it. In his environment, loyalty is something you don't let others question, so he had to answer. It was therefore difficult to ignore the passion when he eventually spoke. Jim's countenance changed the moment Yayo's name was spoken. His tone became heavy with all he had been carrying. His jaw clenched, and his gaze got more intense. He wasn't only protecting his own image. He was speaking for the memory of Stack Bundle, for Harlem, and for his whole gang. He emphasized that he created everything from the ground up. He stated unequivocally that no one had ever carried his team or fed him. He wrote off the criticism and rumors as just noise. His message was straightforward. No outside voice can change their story because his gang is unwavering. His response had nothing to do with flaunting his wealth or way of life. It has to do with loyalty. It was about demonstrating that respect doesn't come from who writes your checks, but rather from sticking by your workers. However, his rejoinder became a full-fledged assertion of power as the discussion heated up. The pride and anguish in his statements were palpable to the audience. Yayo made one more remark just when it appeared like the situation would calm down, directed at Jim's circle this time. He implied that Jim's supporters weren't succeeding, as Jim stated. There was no chance of success. It was an attempt at allegiance. For Jim, there was the boundary that was uncrossable. His feelings erupted once more. He was defending not only himself, but also his town, the values he upholds, and the individuals who had supported him. The argument intensified, the intensity increased, and his statements were more pointed than before. Online viewers could sense the tension in the room since it was so intense. Memphis Blake made an effort to defuse the situation, but Jim had already gone too far. After years of comparisons, rumors, and loyalty-related enquiries, he was ultimately forced to tell the truth. He wasn't only responding to a single remark, as evidenced by every pause, spike in his voice. An instant he leaned forward. He was defending what he had created. It was no longer just a podcast moment after the video went viral. Like wildfire, it spread. Fans shared every emotion, recorded every moment, and transformed it into an endless dialogue. There were memes everywhere. Jim was sitting forward with his eyes blazing and a look of irritation on his face. The tirade was dissected frame by blogs and YouTube channels, which treated it as a significant cultural event. People took sides right away. Jim had every right to protect his reputation, according to those who supported him. Others backed Tony Yayo, claiming that he was voicing opinions that others were too scared to voice. As everyone attempted to make sense of the tension, the comment sections were boisterous with arguments, the resurgence of old memories, and nostalgia mingled with rage. DJs, podcasters, producers, and rappers all contributed. Some said that by bringing up Stack Bundles, Yayo went too far. Others believed that the discussion was necessary. The streets paid attention in a different manner, silently observing because they recalled the true history behind it. While the internet buzz continued to develop, Tony Yayo remained silent the entire time. No answers, no interviews, nothing. People were even more intrigued by his silence. Jim, in the meantime, continued to stand out, reiterate his arguments, display passion, and defend Stack Bundles Harlem and his team with the same fervor he had on the podcast. When Yayo eventually moved, everyone was taken aback. He didn't yell. Not a single track was dropped by him. He shared one picture of Max B, a moniker associated with one of Jim Jones's most intense rivalries. Just the picture, no caption or emoticons. The internet was rocked by that alone. Arguments erupted on social media in a matter of minutes. Jim's name became popular once more. The post's meaning was analyzed by fans, who described it as insulting, intelligent, strategic, petty, and deliberate, all at once. For many, that one image was more hurtful than any verbal abuse. It was straightforward yet unobtrusive, and it demonstrated that Yayo knew just where to aim. Jim was not amused by it. In response, he posted a video of himself strolling around his neighborhood while flaunting his jewelry, automobiles, and Harlem pride. He reminded everyone that his tale could not be changed by any opponent, post, or remark. Every action he took became content, sustaining the internet storm and the animosity. A distinct type of power was demonstrated by Yayo's quiet strike. He demonstrated that occasionally shaking a room doesn't require shouting. When done correctly, a single action has the power to completely change the course of a discussion. His strategy served as a reminder that hip-hop impact is more than just noisy times. Knowing when to move ahead and when to back off is crucial. A more complex narrative was emerging behind all the turmoil. It was more than just two artists exchanging bullets. It was about survival, pride, loyalty, and the values that both men were raised with. Both Jim and Yao emerged from challenging circumstances. They both established names by perseverance and hard work. Their words and deeds held such weight because of this. They weren't amused by this. It was intimate. Jim had a genuine enthusiasm for stag bundles. He talked as someone who has lost loved ones and who won't allow anyone to distort that past. Everything he said was the result of years of devotion and sacrifice, values he believes cannot be compromised. Everyone was reminded by Yayo's tactics that a well-placed action may speak louder than 1,000 words. He also demonstrated the value of time, patience, and stillness. By the time it was all over, the feud had become larger than the initial dispute. It became a discussion about identity, commitment, and respect. Yayo carefully crafted the story, while Jim passionately defended his legacy. The spectator is now in control of the question: with whom do you stand? Jim, who publicly battled to defend his reputation and the people he cares about, or Yayo, who changed the course of events with a single well-thought-out move? The debate continues to rage in group chats, podcasts, and social media, and there is no simple solution. It's obvious that this is more than just chatter. It's an examination of how respect, pride, and reputation function in hip-hop, where every action has a greater impact than most people realize, and every word counts. Stay tuned if you want to be informed as this story continues to develop. We'll update you on everything that comes up.